Today we're going to look at what some people call dimensional analysis and some people call the factor label method. I want to take 20 ounces and convert it into pints. What I need is a conversion table that gives me some basic information. So basic capacity tells me that 3 teaspoons is 1 tablespoon, 2 tablespoons is 1 ounce, 8 ounces is 1 cup, 2 cups is 1 pint, 2 pints equal 1 quart, and 4 quarts equal 1 gallon. What I'll do to begin with is identify where ounces and pints are on one side of this table. Here's ounces, here's pints. If I think of this like a ladder, there's 3 rungs that I have to go to get from ounces to pints. I'll first have to turn ounces into cups, then I can turn those cups into pints. What I do to begin with is I take my given information, 20 ounces, and I put it on top of a horizontal line. I'm going to put it over 1 so that it represents a fraction. Now remember what I said. I need to take my ounces, turn it into cups, and then turn those cups into pints. Those labels go across the top of this setup. So ounces will turn into cups, those cups will turn into pints. The idea behind factor label, or dimensional analysis, is being able to cross-cancel units. Because my ounces are up here, I'm going to bring them down below cups. And because my label of cups is up here, I'm going to bring that down below my pints. Now what I need to do is look at these 2 spaces. I need to compare cups to ounces. When I look at my conversion table, it tells me that there are 8 ounces in every 1 cup. 8 ounces. Well, my ounces label is on the bottom, so the 8 ounces goes on top, on the bottom, and 1 cup goes on top. So now my ounces label cross-cancels, but I still need to eliminate cups. So now I come to this piece of information where I need to compare the number of pints to the number of cups. Look again at my conversion table. My conversion table told me that there were 2 cups for every 1 pint. 2 cups for every 1 pint. Now my labels of cups cancel out and I'm finally left with the label that I wanted, which was pints. Now I multiply straight across. 20 multiplied by 1 is 20. 1 multiplied by 8 multiplied by 2 is 16. 20 over 16 is an improper fraction. I need to fix that. Let's see. How many times does 20 divide by 16? 16 goes into 20 once, leaving a remainder of 4. Right now what that tells me is I have 1 and 4/16. But 4 and 16 are even. I know they'll definitely divide by 2. So I can get 1 and 2/8. But 2 and 8 also divide by 2. Apparently I could have divided by 4 back here. This becomes 1 and 1/4. So as a simplified answer, I now know that 20 ounces is the same as 1 and 1/4 pints. Let's start with those 20 ounces again. Instead of pints, let's find out how many gallons that's equivalent to. Well, again, I'm going to look at ounces, and I'm going to look for gallons on my conversion table. And what I'm going to find out is that I have to turn my ounces first into cups. Those cups will have to turn into pints. Those pints will have to turn into quarts. And finally, those quarts can be turned into gallons. So what I do is I take my given information, 20 ounces, and I put that on the top of my horizontal line. Remember to put it over 1 to turn it into a fraction. Now again, I'm looking at my conversion table, and I'm looking at it as if it were a step ladder. And I think about moving from ounces to gallons as either climbing my ladder or lowering myself on my ladder. So I'm going to kind of go across here the way I would go up my ladder. Again, I have to first turn my ounces into cups, then I'm going to turn my cups into pints, then I'm going to turn those pints into quarts, And finally, I can turn those quarts into gallons. Now that'll take care of putting all my labels in the top portion of my factor label setup. But now I have to figure out what goes down below. Remember again, the idea is I want to be able to cross-cancel all of my labels. Because ounces is up here, it drops down below cups. Because cups is up here, it drops down below the pints. Because pints is up here, it drops down below the quarts. And finally, because quarts is up here, it drops down below the gallons. I'm now going to go back to my conversion table, and I'm going to find out what numbers I should put into my factor label setup. There are 8 ounces in every 1 cup. For every single pint, there are 2 cups. There are 2 pints in every quart. And finally, there are 4 quarts in every gallon. Now to simplify this problem, I'm going to multiply straight across on the top and the bottom. 20 times 1 times 1 times 1 times 1 is of course 20. 1 times 8 times 2 times 2 times 4. Well, let's see. 1 times 8 is 8, times 2 is 16, times 2 again is 32. I need to find out what 32 times 4 is. That's 128. So right now I have 20 over 128. Now that's a fraction, and it's not a problem to have a fraction as my answer. However, I always want to reduce when I can. If I'm not great at division, the one thing I can notice is that both of these numbers are even. Anything that ends in a 0, 2, 4, 6, or 8 will divide by 2. So let's begin by dividing both the top and the bottom by 2. 20 divided by 2 is 10. Let's see, 12 divided by 2 is 6. 8 divided by 2 is 4. So apparently 128 divided by 2 is 64. But again, I notice that these are even. They will definitely divide by 2. 10 divided by 2 is 5. 64 divided by 2 is 32. Now I check one more time. 5 divides only by 5 and 1. 32 only divides by 1. 1 won't reduce the fraction, so apparently I'm done. So 5 over 32 gallons is how many gallons 20 ounces would be equivalent to.